What's going on, guys? Welcome to another edition of Gear Breaker Nation. We'll give excellent assessment and reviews. And in this video, we're going to be just reviewing the awesome, the spectacular, the fantastic Sherlock. Now, I have to say, watching this, I'm just going to have to review it as the first 3 seasons of Sherlock because I haven't seen the 4th season. But here we go. Now, Sherlock is the television series of a modern-day Sherlock Holmes, and along with his adventures, he's accompanied by John Watson. And this show is brilliant. This show is just absolutely brilliant in so many ways. First, I have to give it to Benedict Cumberbatch is fantastic as Sherlock Holmes. The man completely kills the role. I love how he has a very distant personality, and even though he does come off a bit as a dick, the man actually does have a bit of emotion to him. He does care about people. He is, goal-oriented, and I like that about his character. And here you have Martin Freeman, who plays John Watson, and you can see how these two characters end up growing together as brothers. You can feel that friendship between them just get stronger, not only with the things that they have in common, but the things that they don't have in common. And it just makes for a very intriguing watch as we see these two characters just go on this adventure together. Now, as I said before, Sherlock Holmes is a bit of a dick, and in this series, he does feel like he's above everybody. But it's great because we see so many moments where you can see the humanity in his character, which is done really well. Also, in Sherlock's corner is his mysterious brother, Mycroft, and you can kind of see that there's kind of like this love-hate relationship between the two characters, and I actually really enjoy seeing the banter between these two, because even though they really can't stand each other, you can tell that they obviously do care for one another. So there is the balancing act of that. Holmes and Watson do go on these various cases, and they have to solve them for various reasons, whether it's maybe for revenge, maybe to help somebody out, maybe to sit here and prevent somebody's death, or to recover a sacred item. But you can kind of see that the writing just makes for a very interesting and very complex storytelling, which I thought was done really well. How Sherlock Holmes views the world, where you can kind of see what he actually thinks, see the subtle little items here and the subtle little things here, the little things there that nobody else really can just really visualize the way he does it, and it's done in a very unique way. And it's also, as the series goes along, it does a very good representation of how he sees, like, how he's planning out maps and stuff in his head, and it's like interesting how we do those types of things. And there's one thing I can give credit to about this series is the fact that it's clever on so many ways, and watching it, it's like you have to try to be like Sherlock because you're trying to find the subtle hints on characters and in rooms and crime scenes, so you can kind of match wits with him as he's figuring these things out, which I think is an awesome, very well done way of actually trying to engage the audience with the show. The performances of the show are really fantastic. There are a lot of memorable characters. Moriarty, played by Andrew Scott, and this is kind of where I can see where fans might have a bit of an issue with the character, because Moriarty is portrayed as being Holmes's equal, but basically an evil incarnate. And I really like the parallels between the two characters, where you have Holmes being a consultant of policemen and detectives and stuff like that, where you have Moriarty be the consultant of criminals, and I think that's a really good parallel for the characters. But I have to say, even though Moriarty does a good job of kind of paralleling Holmes's personality, because in this incarnation, Moriarty is completely nuts. He's a manipulator, he's really smart, but I have to say, I had to admit that I really didn't get the whole intellectual angle from him. It felt like he was playing off two characters, even though the way I see it is Moriarty felt more like the Joker than actually like this intellectual character. Even though Moriarty is an intellectual character, you would think he would be somewhat the same as Holmes, as being cold and distant, but this guy has to been more spontaneous, more loud, more kiddish, more child-mannered, and more psychotic. So it kind of felt like the Joker at that point. But I have to say, I did appreciate the difference of that incarnation of Moriarty, and I thought Andrew Scott did a great performance as him. I like the fact that they did introduce Irene Adler. She was greatly portrayed by Laura Pulver, and I really enjoyed that, where she was like this really hypersexualized dominatrix, and Holmes couldn't really figure her out, and you can tell she's really smart, and she's like one of the very few people that could kind of put Holmes on edge, where he doesn't know how to figure out how to react, and I think that's a really good character. Unfortunately, one thing I didn't like about her being in the series is I don't think she was in the series enough. She was in there for like that one episode, and she was off. I would have liked her to be the continuous love interest to Holmes's character, eventually helping him out, or even stopping her in like further crimes. I really would have liked her to be in the series, but I have to say I really enjoyed the performance, and I really enjoyed her character. She is definitely one of those characters that actually kind of made Holmes become and me even feel more human. I do have to admit that the series is totally well written. Not only are there some really good characters with great personalities, great backstories, but the city of London just is a character in itself. It plays such a big part, and there's just so many parts and places that you can just go to and just see and experience. And it's lovely how this show portrays the city. It makes it breathe life into itself, and I really enjoyed watching that about the setting. The dialogue definitely well written. Has to be some of the most wittiest, has to be some of the most smart ass dialogue I've ever heard in a television series, and I think it works well for this series, especially considering the characters. Maybe if it isn't Holmes against Mycroft, then it's Holmes against Watson, or if it's not Holmes against Watson, it's Holmes against Moriarty. So I really appreciate how the series does overall when it comes to building Holmes and also breaking him, and even just making him become more of a human character, more likable, because even though he is a dick at times, well, most of the time, he is a likable character. You can see when he gets his heels dug in trying to do a case or solve a case, he gets in there, and it's great to see how he builds as a character, not only with John Watson, but with many of the other characters who are also great. Now for the final verdict. As I've said, this right here might not be a complete television series review because I haven't seen the 4th season, but I love Sherlock so much that I just had to go ahead and just review it right now. So as far as the first 3 seasons of Sherlock, not only are Sherlock Holmes and John Watson and Moriarty and Irene Adler, not only are all 4 of these great characters perfectly portrayed by the most talented cast, I have to say all the rest of the cast is done really well. Also, Mrs. Hudson, Mycroft, Lestrade, you have all these other great side characters that have so many ups and downs in the story that touches in so many deep and dark places, not only in just the lowest of London, but also the highest when it comes to the rich and everything. The story is really engaging. The writing is done perfectly. There are just so many great twists, and every episode is highly enjoyable. I definitely have to give Sherlock a 5 out of 5. This is definitely one of those television series that if I could get the DVD, I would definitely get the DVD. It's worth a watch. I honestly believe anybody that's a fan of Benedict Cumberbatch, anybody that's a fan of Martin Freeman, anybody that's a fan of like these thrillers or police detective shows, or who loves British television in general, would definitely enjoy this. It has really good, just really well written stories, really engaging plots. There is just so much to love about Sherlock. Anyway, guys, in the comment section below, please let me know, what did you think of Sherlock? And I really want to get a little bit personal. Which one of the seasons was your favorite? Me personally, I liked season 2. Season 2 was pretty badass. And maybe because they focused more on Moriarty and Irene Adler, who are, you know, pretty much some of the more basic characters of the Sherlock franchise, but I had to say I really enjoyed it. Yeah, let me know which series is your favorite, and in fact, out of the 4 characters, who do you like the most? And I guess I'll catch you guys the next edition of Gear Breaker Nation, and remember, keep those gears turning.